What is going on, Brash Garage, and welcome back to the channel. Man, that's like the OG intro now. That's like our thing. From the walk out of the car to the shop to opening it up, that's just like the new thing. Anyways, today, more work on the hatch. We got the big show coming up in a few weekends here, Hot Night in the City, and we got some SKUNK2 valve cover goodies to shove on this thing. As well as I'd like to paint the rear lower control arms black because it'll save me 300 bucks from getting actual just factory black ones. I would like to get this trim along the door here cleaned up, but we do have this SKUNK2 Dressup kit to go on the valve cover today to finally eliminate all the purple that's left in the engine bay. So should be absolutely rad. Pretty pumped to get that on. That shouldn't take too much time. And then hopefully those lower control arms. I did order 5 by 5 foot of gloss black wrap so we can wrap the roof and get rid of these tiger stripes that are on here because it's the only thing that's tiger striped from the paint job we did. And then everything's about ready to go for the big show. But at least today we're gonna get the SKUNK2 dress up kit for the valve cover on, because if you guys don't know, right now it just has these shoddy VMS purple caps on, and then there'll be all black SKUNK2 caps everywhere. And that should be the last thing for this engine bay before she's ready for the big day. I'm gonna go ahead and start ripping the valve cover off. Pretty self-explanatory, just all the nuts you can see. Go ahead, take those off. Super easy with the oil cap as well. Don't forget to pull the spark plug wires out, but just take that off. A little bit of oil up in there. Crack that loose. Okay boys, well, she convinced me. I went ahead and took the rain guards off. I actually pulled all this trim up now too. Oh my god, there's so much rubber trim. And then I pulled this off. As you can see, it was double-sided tape because these things are actually the worst, man. Like, these break all the time. That's the only good one I have, and it's fucking cracked. All the other ones are snapped off, and this is my second set of these. If you guys don't know, these run along here like this, and they snap all the time. But anyways, we got this off. We're gonna go ahead and paint those black so it's not an eyesore either. Like I said, just cleaning shit up, getting ready for the big show while we're working on the valve cover kit. As you can see, the valve cover is kind of stuck on there because in these corners they're all RTV'd, which is good practice with these motors. I'm gonna go ahead and be doing that as well. They did go a little bit heavy. Yeah, so I did get a new gasket. Unfortunately, we're gonna go ahead and write this one off just because of all the gasket makers that's been on it. But I do have a new gasket, so it's all good. Now that it's off, the bolts that we're gonna go ahead and be attacking are these outer ones right here, and then these inner ones right here. That's what comes with the kit. I'm gonna go ahead and have to clean up these mating surfaces where the gasket maker is, just with a little razor blade, before we go ahead and put the new gasket on. But for right now, let's go ahead and take off these bolts here. And as we do this, we're gonna go ahead and replace it with the SKUNK2 one. So these ones come out, and then this is what you have with the SKUNK2 kit. And this one I just took out are these ones right here. So we're gonna take this out and then put these in. We're not gonna torque them yet, we're just gonna run them down. And these 4 go on all 4 outsides. And these long ones here go on the 4 inside. torquing these down yet is because you go inside to outside. So we're gonna torque these 4 and then these 4, and they get torqued to 20 foot-pounds. Now we're gonna go ahead and repeat the same steps with these inner ones here. Take one off, run down a SKUNK2 one, but don't torque it. Take one off, run down a SKUNK2 one, but don't torque it. And then once those 4 are in, we're gonna go ahead and torque to 20 foot-pounds, working from the inside to the outside. Okay, now from inside to outside, we torque to 20 foot-pounds. Done. Okay, now what we're going to do is clean off the gasket maker around the cams right here. The cam seals, the outers. We're going to clean those up, and then we're going to put the new valve cover gasket back on, and then put the valve cover back on. And now's the fun part when we get to actually put the Dressup kit on. So it's better if you have like a carbide scraper, but I just got this little X-Acto. So as long as you're very careful and you're not digging in, it should be just fine. What we're going to do now is go ahead and get the new valve cover gasket. Take out these spark tube seals. They were all still good. They didn't need to be replaced, but we got a new one, so at that point you just might as well, right? And seat these new caps into place. Drop the gasket into place. Once this gasket is in place, we're then gonna go ahead and take a little bit of gasket maker, Honda Bond, RTV, whatever you have, and just go around the cam caps with it. It's a big thing on these Hondas that you should really never overlook. Oh, and we have this gasket on backwards. You'll notice on these VTEC covers, there's this edge right here that kind of bows out. That goes on the back of the cover. There's an actual spot for it, so kind of just winged it to begin with, and 50-50 shot, and I got it backwards, of course. So now that that valve cover gasket and spark tube seals is on, we're gonna go back to the engine and use some of this gasket maker, ultra copper gasket maker I have right here, and just put it on our finger and run half moons over top of the cam caps. So over 1, 2, 3, 4, we're gonna use our little gasket maker. Okay, so just gonna go put a little bit on my finger there and go over each cam cap with it. And you're gonna want a good dollop in the corner of it as well. Okay, now that you can see the orange on all 4 caps, we're gonna go ahead and place our valve cover back on. Just make sure your gasket is seated all the way around. On all of these that have like this recessed edge here, you're going to want to take these, and they got a sticky bit on one side of them, and slide them over top of this so it creates like a little rubber seal there, just like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that to all of these, and then we'll move on to the valve cover. Now that that little rubber seal is on there, you're just gonna drop it in place, and then take this stand off and secure it in place. Now you can do it for the inside ones. I just found it didn't fit as well, but for the outside ones, I'm adding that extra rubber O-ring, seating it in place, and then running it down. And for the outside ones, you want to fasten them with these Allen key heads right here, because that's basically what the kit converts it to be slim hardware. And now that the inner ones are on with the standoffs and the outer ones are off with the recessed hardware, it's time to take our valley tray, lay it down over top, and as you can see, the SKUNK2 hardware makes the valley tray perfectly level. And then you're going to want to take the smaller of the hardware that's just flat with no recessed lip because it's not sealing anything, no O-rings, and once again, the recessed Allen head hardware, take those, put it together, and put them on top of those four right there. Yes, I know I may or may not have forgot the spark plug wires, but with everything back on, the Dressup kit looks so damn good, boys. Like this engine bay, finally no more purple. I wish I had black plug wires, but no more purple, no more purple, no more blue, no more purple. It just looks so freaking good. I'm gonna go ahead and get some B-roll of this, and that's gonna go ahead and be it for this segment. Okay boys, I got the rear of the car all jacked up. Next thing we have to do is take these shoddy lower control arms off, which is 3 bolts, clean them down, and then we're gonna actually go ahead and paint those today, as well as these, which are the window moldings on the EG. They're all sanded down, looking beautiful now. But I'm gonna go ahead and rip these control arms off, and we're gonna pick it back up when we're ready to paint these, because you guys see me put these in last year. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a card up here referencing to it right now. Okay, rear lower control arms are out of the car now. Got a little shot of that. Now what I'm gonna go ahead and do, thank God we put anti-seize on those bolts because they all came out so nice. I'm gonna go ahead and wash them in the sink here, just mask off the bushings, and then we're gonna start hitting them with some black paint. Might hit them with some primer first and then do a black, but I just want them to not be purple. God damn boys, I have been washing these things, hovered over the sink for like the last 20 minutes, and I think that they're finally clean. I'm still gonna hit it with a bit more, and here we got Cherry Bomb Gojo, so the abrasive stuff, and then I soaked it with some engine degreaser, some oven cleaner, and now I'm just looking for a neutral soap or APC to do one more pass. I've even cleaned the sink with this brush on those in this sink, just to get it cleaned on every pass. I hope the paint sticks should be clean enough. I'm gonna do one more pass, we're gonna mask it, and then we're off to painting these and those. Just like that, these things are about as clean as they have ever been since they rolled off the factory. There's not a speck on these things. I'm just gonna go ahead and scuff them up with some super high grit sandpaper, not low grit, just so I scuff it up, get a little bit better adhesion. Tape off the bushings, the rubber bushings, and then we're gonna hit them with some primer and then some paint. So I figure I've painted enough stuff on camera to where I don't need to show it anymore, but we got the primer on and our first coat of black. These things look so much better. No more sore thumbs, and that is the last piece of purple that is on this car. Once those are painted, this car will have 0 purple, and I'm so pumped for that. We'll come back when the LCAs are painted and getting reinstalled, lower this thing back on the ground, and we are done for the day. And thank God we anti-seized the lower control arm bolts because they came out so easy and so nice. But with that being said, these lower control arms are finished. They're dry to the touch. They got a couple coats of paint on them. They're looking super good. And with all that being said, we're gonna go ahead and install these things into the car now and see how they look. Alrighty fellas, and just like that, the lower control arms are installed. Let's take a peek. Boom, black lower control arms. You're used to diving down here and seeing purple, but no longer. They look so much better black. They're just out of sight, out of mind. They don't stand out like a sore thumb. And oh, I freaking love that. Now we're gonna go ahead and leave the video here, come back next week for when we wrap the roof black and finish off these door trim pieces here. We got them all sanded down today and we're just getting the mask up right now, but paint is gonna wait for that till next week, and the install of the rain guards and all that. All those door accessories that we took off today will be installed next week when we wrap the roof that's all tiger striped from our shoddy little paint job black. But until then, boys, I'm gonna put the wheels back on, torque them to spec, let this thing down, tighten up the lower control arms, because you don't want to tighten them as they're hanging in the air at full droop. You want to tighten them where they sit on the ground. If you tighten them right now at full droop, when they sink up to the ground, there'll be so much tension on the bushings it'll lead to ripping, tearing, and wearing them a lot quicker. So leave them loose until the car sits back on the ground with the wheels on, and then go through and tighten them up. With all that being said, comment, like, subscribe. This was a huge video. I'm sure I'm gonna have a fun time editing it. Peace out. We'll catch you in the next one.